You probably think you're in the driver's seat of your own life. That every choice you make, from what you eat to who you vote for, starts and ends with you. But what if that's not true? What if, from the moment your alarm goes off, you're moving through an invisible world, an architecture that's been designed to steer your every thought? Today, we're going to talk about how you are being systematically and very successfully reverse engineered.
So to really get this, let's just follow a pretty normal day for a guy we'll call Rahul. We're going to see in real time just how that feeling of free will, well, it's more of an illusion, carefully built for you second by second.
Okay, so on the surface, this looks like anyone's morning, right? Just a bunch of small, separate decisions. Waking up, commuting, buying something. But if you look closer, each of these moments isn't a decision at all. It's a reaction. It's a response to a tiny algorithmic seed that was planted in his brain, specifically designed to blossom later in the day. Let's break this down.
So first thing, 6:15 a.m. Rahul grabs his phone, thinking he's just, catching up on what's happening. But that feed, that isn't the news. It's a carefully crafted reality, tailor-made for him. The algorithm knows his triggers. It knows content that criticizes the government gets a rise out of him. So boom, that's what's at the top of his feed. This isn't information. This is the very first seed of the day. And with that one article, the system has set his emotional thermostat to angry for the next 24 hours. Because you see, anger equals engagement.
A little later, he's on the metro. He decides to watch a video about making extra money. But here's the thing. He didn't just randomly think of that. The algorithm planted that need. How? Well, it's been watching. It saw his recent spending habits, it read his Google searches for inflation, and it put two and two together. It diagnosed his financial anxiety, and then, like a doctor, it prescribed the perfect cure, a recommended video that's actually just an ad for some get-rich-quick scheme.
And finally, he gets to work and remembers he needs to buy a gift. But was it really him remembering? Nope. The day before, Google Photos just happened to show him a memory of his niece's birthday. That was the primer. So when he goes to buy something, he's not seeing the best gifts or the highest rated. He's seeing a list that's ranked by which company paid the most to be at the top. The idea was planted, the choice was guided, and the purchase just confirms everything the system knows about him for the next round.
So, you've got to be asking, how is this even possible? How can a piece of code know the perfect moment to exploit an insecurity or plant an idea? Well, it's because the system hasn't just collected data about you. It's used all that data to build a perfect, living, breathing copy of you.
And that's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? How can it possibly know you this well? The secret is, it's not just watching what you click, it's watching all the signals you don't even realize you're putting out there.
Just think about this for a second. The algorithm doesn't just register that you bought something. It actually measures the pause, that tiny fraction of a second you hesitated before you clicked buy on something expensive. And in that pause, it builds a perfect, real-time picture of your financial stress levels.
They know when you can't sleep. The little sensors in your phone, the gyroscope and accelerometer, they paint a picture of you pacing back and forth, and they can even correlate that movement with the sad, angry message drafts you typed out and then deleted. They are, quite literally, mapping out your private moments of despair.
And this is where it gets genuinely terrifying. The image recognition software is so powerful now, it can analyze the reflection in your eye from a selfie you posted, identify the brand of prescription medication on your nightstand in the background, and silently add that to your health profile. There are simply no more secrets.
So all this data, all these tiny signals, they come together to create this digital phantom. It's basically a behavioral twin of you that lives on a server somewhere, and in a way, it's a better version of you, for their purposes, because it has zero blind spots and a perfect memory. And here is the truly chilling part. They run simulations on it. They test your life. They try out different headlines on your phantom to see which one makes you the most angry, what ad will make you crave a product. You're not just being watched. You are being experimented on.
But why? I mean, why build this unbelievably complicated digital ghost? The answer, as it usually is brutally simple. It's the most profitable business model in the history of the world. So let's pop the hood and see how this engine actually runs.
This is basically Addiction 101. It's a simple 4-step loop. First, there's a trigger, a notification, a little red dot, even just a feeling of boredom. That makes you take an action, like opening the app. Then you get a variable reward. Sometimes it's a funny video, sometimes it's a like on your photo, and sometimes it's just junk. That randomness, that maybe this time feeling, is exactly what makes a slot machine so addictive. And it's what keeps you scrolling. Finally, you invest back into the system by posting or sharing, which just gives it more fuel for the next loop.
So what kind of stuff does this engine love to promote? Well, whatever is the most engaging. And when you look at the data, it's not even a contest. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is more engaging than anger. It spreads faster and wider than joy or sadness. So what does that mean? It means the algorithm isn't just accidentally showing you things that make you mad, it is financially designed to seek out and amplify outrage.
Which brings us to this critical point. All the fighting, all the polarization, all the friction we see in society today, it isn't a mistake, it isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature. It's the desired outcome of a wildly successful business strategy.
But what happens when you take that friction engine and scale it up to cover billions of people? Well, it does more than just mess with individuals. It shatters our shared reality, and it grinds down our amazing, diverse cultures into a bland, predictable, profitable sludge.
And this is where you can really see the fracture. Let's take one single news event, say a skirmish at the border. One user sees a headline about terrorists being supported by the opposition. Another user sees a headline about the government failing to protect its citizens. They're not just seeing different opinions on the same event. They are living in two completely separate, algorithmically generated realities. Now, how are those two people ever supposed to have a meaningful conversation?
And at the same exact time, this engine is flattening everything. It optimizes for whatever works on the largest possible scale. So, unique regional movies get replaced by generic one-size-fits-all formulas. Cool local shops get buried in search results under the same big Instagrammable chains you see everywhere. Even the way we learn is changing, from deep understanding to just learning quick exam hacks. Our world is becoming less interesting and more predictable, because predictable is profitable. The sheer, mind-boggling scale of this whole operation has created an entirely new kind of global power. It's a power that has no borders, no accountability, and an influence that makes most actual countries look small.
I just want you to let this number sink in for a moment. $3.779 trillion. The market value of just one of these tech companies is more than the entire gross domestic product of India, a country with 1.4 billion people. Why? Just why? Because they're not selling you a product. They are trading in the single most valuable resource on the planet, the certainty of future human behavior.
And here's the insane contradiction in all of this. In fields where lives are actually on the line, like building airplanes or in national defense, these kinds of black box AIs are basically forbidden. You have to be able to explain exactly why a system made a particular decision. You need accountability. We would never ever trust an algorithm we don't understand to fly a plane. And yet, we are trusting one to shape the minds of our children and our entire civilization.
So all of this brings us to the final and I think the most important question. This isn't just about what this technology is doing to society anymore. It's about what it is turning us as individual human beings into.
What we're seeing is a kind of slow-motion cognitive crisis. Our brains are literally rewiring themselves to fit this new environment, and we're paying a huge price. Our attention is shattered. Our memories are outsourced to a cloud that decides what's important enough for us to remember. We even outsource our emotions. Instead of feeling sad, we scroll until we feel numb. Our fundamental human abilities, to think critically, to read social cues, to focus, are all getting weaker. We are trading away our humanity for convenience.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. That digital phantom we talked about earlier, that perfect copy of you living on a server, well, it's not just a copy anymore. With every scroll, every like, every outsourced decision, it's becoming the new tenant in your own mind. And the question you have to ask yourself is this: is the real, original you being quietly, slowly, and permanently evicted?